You're tuned in to the Behind the Ears podcast with Uncle Danny and Mr. Chris, because everybody does Disney differently. The Behind the Ears podcast crew would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. Hey everybody, it's Mr. Chris, and I gotta tell you about Expedition Roasters. Listen, I'm a pretty big coffee drinker, just like a lot of you are, but these people have got coffee right. Their coffees are made from selectively sourced premium and specialty grade Arabica beans. They provide the absolute best flavor and aroma, and select roast even come directly from a single estate farm for a truly perfect cup that is never bitter. They've got awesome Disney-inspired flavors such as Roundhouse Roast, Route 66, Skipper's Brew, Dark Side Roast, Redhead Rum, and one of my favorites, Bob Slitter's Brew. Listen, if you want to have the taste of Disney in every cup, give them a try today. ExpeditionRoasters.com, and Behind the Ears podcast listeners gets an extra 20% off your first order by using the coupon code EARS20. That's right, EARS20. And you can find them over at ExpeditionRoasters.com. Brew your happy place. If you have a little one and you're going to Walt Disney World, you're going to need a stroller. I'll tell you what, KingdomStrollers.com is the place where you want to look into. I'll tell you, I've destroyed my fair share of strollers while at Walt Disney World, and those things are not cheap. But getting something from KingdomStrollers.com, they'll be able to help you pick out the perfect stroller for you. And the nice part is that because they're a Disney preferred provider, they'll be able to drop it off and pick it up right from your Disney resort at no extra charge. So if you don't want to necessarily destroy your stroller in the process and you want to have a great Disney vacation with your little one, contact KingdomStrollers.com and they'll set you right up. That's KingdomStrollers.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears podcast. I am Uncle Danny. That is Mr. Chris. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful tonight. Thank you.
I'm really zoomed in. You see this?
You are. It's just like, hello, it's Danny. Like, way out there. Just Danny. Yes. There he is, I think. He's playing there you go.
This is 720p.
Yes.
When the last one, all I did was change the resolution down to 540 just to see if the camera was dying on me. And for some reason, when you go to 540, it zooms in on your face.
It just compresses.
That's good to know.
Yes.
So, with that being said, we have a fun-filled, packed episode. We're going to do a Just My Opinion segment, something based off a WDW community Facebook post. Does a man go too far by hanging a banner inside Disney? Pizza Rizio finally closing. What's going on? Those are just a couple of things that we are going to touch on tonight. So I think we should start with the one that broke the internet. The one where we and many other groups had to shut off commenting. The one where we are going to spend the least amount of time on because it's a silly, trivial little thing. But he calls himself famous. Never heard of the guy. No offense, bro. No offense to anybody who knows him. Loved ones, wife, kids, don't know him. Don't care to know him. Whatever your political beliefs are, check them at the door. This is a Disney show, not CNN.
Well, it's the Chris News Network. Just
basically, a guy goes in and hangs I don't want to call it a re-elect, but like a 2020 banner, for the upcoming election. 4 years away, for President Trump. And a lot of people were up in, you know what I want to say? A lot of people were up in arms on the internet. If you happen to look at the picture or watch the videos of people inside the park, everybody was kind of like, whatever. I'm just going to keep going doing my thing. I didn't even know that platform I can go up.
I'll take a picture because, well, that's something you don't see every day. And then you just turn around and you go to Casey's and get some corn dog nuggets.
So, once again, taking political beliefs out of it, everybody kind of wants to use Disney as that escape. Oh, did I do my math wrong? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's not 4 years.
But that's okay.
Man, that's twice today. Someone nailed me on grammar too before. I feel like I was back in high school. You use Disney as an escape from the outside world, and a lot of people were up in arms that they would bring political banners into the park. Then you have the other half of people that are like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Just do your vacation. I kind of fall in the middle here. In the sense of, I don't really care. You want to hang a banner, dude. Like, it does not affect me at the end of the day. I'm there. There was no profanity on it. Whether it was whatever president or whatever the point of the banner was, if it wasn't even about that, is the fact of I'm on vacation. I'm not paying attention to that. You're not disturbing me being in my cocoon by hanging that banner. But on the other hand, I am like, bro, that's not the place for it. And the thing that irked me about the whole situation, this is why I fall in the middle, is he does it as a publicity stunt, obviously. He's obviously a Trump supporter, but that's neither here nor there. He does it as a publicity stunt and getting people to basically go around and say that he's this, I don't want to call him a streamer, a life influencer, basically just someone who's on the internet. Bro, me and Chris are just two guys on the internet. Listen, you don't have a following. You have like 10 people. Stop it. You're going to get your 10 minutes in fame. Try doing it for years. Okay. Stop it. Go talk to Lou Mangello about moment in fame. The dude's been doing it for 10 years. He's always in the spotlight. We've been around for going on 3 years, and we're just getting into the spotlight. You don't need a banner. That's just crazy. But what bothered me the most is he turned around, basically did a live stream. I commend him on this. He applauded Disney security for being prompt and not freaking out and basically just ushering him out. But then has the audacity, after getting kicked out of Magic Kingdom, be like, stay tuned. We're going to do it in Epcot tonight. It's like, what are you, stupid? Like, even if you had the grand scheme of doing it in Epcot tonight, don't broadcast that. Like, you understand it's 2018, how social media works? You knew this was going to spread like wildfire. You knew that the idea of Trump and Disney mixing the one. You saw what the Hall of Presidents was all about. We had backlash from that, let alone this dude dropping a banner. All I'm saying is, if he does it again, and obviously they know what his face is. Like I've said from day one, I know for a fact that they have a camera on top of Tower of Terror that can read license plates coming into Magic Kingdom. Don't ask me how I know it. Just trust me when I tell you it's a real thing. They know this guy. They're going to, if he tries to do it again, you know what? He's going to get a lifetime ban. It's that simple.
But you realize, everybody's been saying that. You do realize there's no such thing as a ban from Disney.
I think for something like this, they might, especially just because of Disney's political leanings.
Well, the reason why I say that is because you talk to someone like Adam the Woo. There's really no such thing as a lifetime ban, because it's not really a ban. It's a trespass order. And and that's the thing. That's a legality thing to it. The thing is that this is how Adam the Woo came back. He was allowed back onto Disney property because every year, once a year, you're allowed to petition the courts, as well as where you got that trespass order from, to see if they'll actually lift it. And basically, that's where you say, I'm sorry, my bad, blah, blah, blah. That's how Adam the Woo was able to come back to Disney World, because he was never banned from Disneyland. So everybody's saying he's going to get a lifetime ban. Technically, it could be for a lifetime, depending on whose lifetime you talk about. In essence, they're going to watch him like a hawk. They're going to get him. They're going to pull him aside. They're going to pull him away, and this, that, and the other. And you know what? He may be back. He may be back next year. He may be back 5 years from now.
Well, according to Alex, he was an annual pass holder for 25 years, and his annual pass was revoked.
Well, there's this, you can easily get one-day tickets.
Very true.
I mean, but that doesn't necessarily make it available to him. He can buy tickets all he wants. But they're still like you said, they got cameras everywhere. They're going to catch him at the door. Yeah. And so, and I hope they do, because like you said, I'm not stating a preference. I just don't think that's the time or the place. I don't think it ruined anybody's vacation. I really don't. But at the same time, it was a silly move. As I said, let's just keep walking down Main Street, get ourselves some corn dog nuggets, do it by mobile ordering. Have a nice day.
Well, let's keep on moving because we've spent enough time on this Giacomo. Hey, if you ever want to come on the show, buddy. No, actually, I don't want you.
No, no, I'll veto that one.
I thought about it and I was like, no. I would end up having to have one of those little sensor bars over my face. Beep. The whole show would just be a static beep. So let's move on here. You tried to antagonize me today.
No, I wasn't antagonizing you. I was prompting for a response. There is a difference.
Yeah, there is no difference. So before I go on my soapbox for a moment,
tell
us what the article was about.
Okay, so this is right now an unconfirmed rumor, but of course, there does seem to be some components of validity to this. But supposedly, Pizza Rizzo may go on the chopping block by the end of October, and again, rumor. Unverified speculation, blah, blah, blah. We need to, we always say that. But the thing of it is that there was no real rhyme or reason as to why. It just says it's going to, according to somebody who knows a cast member, basically said time is coming to a close. Now, I personally think that's kind of interesting, taking into consideration that Pizza Rizzo, has only been reopened for a couple of years. Since it was Pizza Planet, and I know that, well, let's face it, Danny didn't like it as Pizza Planet, didn't necessarily like it as Pizza Rizzo, mainly because the pizza was bad and, of course, under-themed and just, that sort of thing. And there was a lot that Danny has said about this in the past. And I kind of prompted Danny for a response when I saw that. That's the only reason really why I posted it, to be honest with you. But it's kind of an interesting speculation that I have, because if you think about it, that whole section that goes between Star Tours and where Galaxy's Edge is going to be coming up to, you have Pizza Rizzo, you've got Muppets, you got Mama Melroses, you got a couple shops, you got, a
cool Christmas shop, though.
Very cool Christmas shop. You got all that between Star Tours and where it's going to be Galaxy's Edge. It's almost like, are they going to close it down? Are they going to reopen it? Are they going to retheme it? Don't know. But I'll let you go ahead and get on your soapbox for a minute, because I know you've been dying.
Before I get on the soapbox, I actually did see another article. Hold on, I've got an echo. Nope.
Yeah. He's good.
It's better. No?
Okay.
Yep. Okay, good. I actually read a different article saying that they're considering moving it to a seasonal option, which makes... I never understood the whole seasonal dining thing anyway, especially not in Hollywood studios. Makes kind of no sense.
It's already not open for dinner. It's only open basically, because it was like one time Kathy and I wanted to go get a bite to eat later in the evening. It was probably like 5:30, and this is like during a July trip. It was like 5:30. We're like, let's go ahead and get a bite to eat, really quick, and let's go to Pizza Rizzo. We actually don't mind it. Okay, we're one of the few. And next thing we're like, it's closed. #really? It's like dinner time. We just,
Let's start with what Pizza Planet was. The shell of Pizza Planet. The disgrace that Disney had brought down upon one of the greatest Pixar movies ever made. You could have done so many amazing things with Pizza Planet, and you gave me the Pizza Hut of Pizza Planet. It was a joke. The theming was terrible. The food was bad. The service was slow. I'm not even going to harp on it. Listen, we've done over 250 episodes. Go back and listen to any of the 250. I guarantee you I've yelled at probably a third of them about Pizza Planet. Let's move to Pizza Rizzo. Trying to basically base it off of a pizzeria in New York, where I happen to be close to. I will say the outside decor is actually quite nice. They did make it look like a street, and they put, the fire escape and the fake brick and the coloring and the awnings. They actually did a good job. I will nod my head to Disney with it being a good job. The inside is an absolute nightmare. It's like the basement of a Pizza Hut or a party room and inside of a bowling alley in a deserted plaza. It is absolutely horrendous, and it goes along with the microwave, the Elio's pizza they serve you on a plate and charge you $9.95. You have such a huge footprint, and that's what you give us. Is it really that hard to give an honest, like, godforsaken good building with good character and good facade? I could almost stomach the fact that your DiGiorno style pizza should just be thrown in the trash as soon as it comes out of your microwave. I can almost stomach the idea of that. If for once in your life, Disney, hit the nail on the head and make it great. Do the theming right. How do you have pizza? I'm going back to Pizza Planet now. How do you not make it the arcade? How is there not black lights and giant claws and aliens and video games everywhere? No, you gave me plastic chairs and a odd shade green inside with one alien. I'm sorry, the kiosk outside Buzz Lightyear is themed better than Pizza Planet was or Pizza Rizio. Should have shut down? Absolutely, they should have shut it down 6 months ago. Board it up. You don't even put anything there. Put a Walmart there. I don't care. You know what? Demolish the building and put stroller parking there. I don't make a giant Muppets store bigger than the one they already have. You know what? Just put a garbage can there because that's what you gave me, Disney. You gave me a glorified garbage can. Rant over.
Wow.
Someone's going to pull that and put it on YouTube.
Wow. Holy crap. Dude. Are you getting angry? I mean, do you need a Snickers bar or something?
It's just, woo. Man. I love Disney, and they do such amazing things. And then other times I sit back and be like, oh, I could pay me. Pay me my salary I'm doing now. It's really not that much money, I promise you. It's peanuts to you people. Pay me. I'll do it. Crap. At this point, I'll do it for free. Just let me do it. I'll even come build it.
Okay. How about we go to something a little bit more fun? Okay. Are you done?
I'm done. I'm good. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Might come back to this. Let's circle back. Mark it down.
I will just say that I've enjoyed my meals there, but it's not like it's not, you know, it's fast food Disney pizza and it's edible. It's good.
Listen, Chris gives you a lot of good tips. Okay. Chris is on point with a lot of things, but when it comes to food, Chris also thinks Coral Reef is good. So I want you all to take that into account. He also thinks Chicago pizza is better than New York pizza. So my experience at Coral Reef was good. 2, let's not go down the pizza holy war. Okay. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Okay.
We had actually a great last topic.
Okay, so basically, as Danny mentioned earlier, we had this whole agree-disagree thread that Christine actually, started. It's kind of funny. She actually PM'd me before she posted. She goes, I was wondering if I can do this because it's worked on other sites and I just didn't know. And she was really cool about it. I appreciated her reaching out to me beforehand. And it was one of those things where you put a statement out there and you allow people to respond simply with an agree or disagree. And the fact of the matter is probably about 90% of the responses were agree or disagree. There were some people that broke the rules along those lines. But we're going to roll through some of these, and we're going to go through some of these really quick because there's so many good ones here. Maybe a minute, maybe 2 on each one of these, and we can have a blast. Do say something in the comment section if you have something that you'd like to say about it. We'll circle back to some of the best comments in the middle of this. Okay, so you ready? You ready for some of these? I got these on my phone.
All right. So what am I doing? Are we just saying agree or disagree?
Let's say agree, disagree in a
30 seconds. That's all you get.
30 seconds. 30 seconds a person.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Not necessarily doing the Jeopardy theme song in between, but So, Christine actually does start us off. I think there should be more than 2 rides in Pandora and Toy Story Land.
I agree. I know where Chris is going to go. They should have went bigger, and they will probably expand. But at the end of the day, they didn't. But they left room. But I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. And like you said, I do think that at least Pandora is going to expand. I'm not sure about Toy Story Land, but I think there's the potential to do so. I do agree that it should happen. The next question, I think they should have more benches and places to sit in every park.
I couldn't agree more. Oh my goodness, I love people watching. I love, when I was going to Disney so much where I didn't need to even go on rides. I love sitting down, just taking on the ambiance, especially on a nice day. But can we have a couple of those benches in the shade, please?
I also agree, and I think nice shaded area would be great. I think you have to kind of watch where you put them, because if you put them during a parade route, obviously you're going to have problems in some cases. But I do think that they need some more places, nice, comfy places that people can sit back and relax for a few. I do like people watching at Disney. I think it's really cool. I like listening to the background music too, as well. So there you go. Oops. Let's see. I like this one. The bread. Now, you may not be able to respond to this. The bread service at Sanaa is one of the best foodie hidden gems in Walt Disney World. Personally, I totally agree. It is absolutely fabulous. I've only heard one person say that they didn't have a good experience with it, and it was because of the sauces. I'm not necessarily sure about that because I've always had it consistent, but I agree. And you haven't had a chance to have it yet.
No, that's why I didn't comment on this one, unfortunately. I apologize.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Let's see. I think we should get an unlimited amount of Fast Passes a day, not just 3 at a time. I feel if I'm going to be there 9 to 5, I should be able to sign up for a Fast Pass per hour. I hope this makes sense. Lol.
I would agree, as long as you keep it within, you can only get a Fast Pass in that hour bracket. Yeah, I mean, if you plan it smart, though, and you go to the park now, you essentially do have this, though, with that 4th rolling one. So something to keep in mind.
You're going to be surprised. I'm going to say disagree. I'm going to tell you what, but I'm going to try to be brief in my explanation. I honestly only disagree because I think there are people that are going to say that it takes too much time to try to plan a Disney trip, and if you had to go on an even playing field and basically book a Fast Pass every hour for pretty much everything that has Fast Passes, you're going to get people that are going to get into like planning paranoia or planning paralysis, and just over planning. And then people are going to say, you have to plan your hearts out, and I'm not a planner. I just think that, hey, I would love to have more Fast Passes. That is a true statement. I just think that it would be difficult for that type of arrangement to be made. I hope that makes sense. So, all right, let's see. Brittany also says here, I believe Disney needs to lower their pricing on stuff such as Mickey ears, T-shirts, and the such. I mean,
yeah, I mean, that's hard to disagree.
Is anybody going to disagree?
No, I think they overprice everything. I would be cool if they kept raising the prices of essential things like food, because food prices are going to vary. And if you want to raise hotel and ticket prices, I get it. I just wish they didn't try to price gouge you on every level. So, I mean, I obviously agree.
I don't mind if pricing stays what they are as long as the quality is there. I don't mind paying extra for a nice Disney shirt, because I still have Disney shirts from 10 years ago that look as good as the day I bought them, and I wear them all the time. So, Let's see. This is interesting. I believe if we are annual pass holders, we should get one Halloween party entry, and one Christmas party entry included per year.
I agree, as long as it's a premier one. It's got to be, platinum or above. You can't give an annual gold member that has all these blackout dates and everything, because a majority, no. But it's got, if you buy the top one, the platinum or the platinum plus, absolutely. I paid for mine last year. It cost me $840 after taxes. Yeah. Let me get one of the, and I'm not expecting you to give me Halloween night or 3 days before Christmas, but I also want the option of say, okay, you can have any of the August ones, any of the September ones, and maybe the first 2 in October. But the way Disney would do it, as we all know, they would tell you can only have the August ones, and it can only be the ones on Wednesday. So I don't think it would be done right, but I agree.
It would be nice. Here's my problem. I guess in some ways I would agree, but I'm indifferent. Why? Because even when I was a pass holder, I didn't get to go during those times of the year anyway. So you kind of have to already be the kind of person as an AP holder as well as going during the holidays. Mm-hmm. So that's my whole take.
Are you going to read mine too, by chance?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I said no. I'm excited for the one.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm trying to make this go by as fast but as fun as possible here. Mm-hmm. Our friend Tressan mentions, in my opinion, I think Disney needs to be more transparent into why parking is $20. And then Chris goes, "Hey, it's $22 now."
I agree. That seemed like a huge money grab, and it just did not make sense. I mean, have you guys ever looked inside Pop sometimes? Even during when I've been there and I know their hotel's been sold out, they've got numerous parking spots. So I guess maybe for like the smaller style hotels, like, when I say small, I mean smaller parking lots, like the premier lots, like Boardwalk doesn't really have that big of a lot, unsurprisingly.
Boardwalk is the worst.
Beach doesn't. None of the monorails, Grand, none of them have big parking lots. So the only thing I could say is, for those, maybe I could understand a premium at it, but they charge so much already. I don't like it. Be more transparent on why they did it.
You're right. I totally get it. I agree. I have my opinion. I think it's part of it is to deal with a lot of the construction that's going on the roads and stuff like that. But it is what it is. It's not. I just have to budget for it now. That's my biggest thing. Christine actually mentions, I believe there should be a Pixar character dining.
110% agree. Buzz Lightyear will just lead the whole thing.
It's like, hello. Actually, the thing is, though, I thought there was one that had Pixar characters, but I think I am wrong. I may be thinking of something at Disneyland, to be honest with you. Let's see. I'm trying to read. I'm trying to figure this one out. This is from Tressan again. In my opinion, with Walt Disney World making the most funds for the parks as a whole, it should be treated as such with upgraded attractions and transportation, and not the stepchild that Walt Disney World is being treated as, with monorails that break down far too often and so many empty space areas of former attractions.
Yeah, I agree. People don't realize Walt Disney World's not their money maker. The theme parks are actually giant money pits outside of ESPN. ESPN's the biggest money pit they own. All their revenue comes from movies. But I mean, don't get me wrong. Disney's not, just rubbing two pennies together goodbye every day. They make a lot of money. I don't like the fact that Disney waits so long to fix things, such as the monorail, because we ordered new monorails, so we're doing something about it. Yeah, but you should have ordered new monorails back in 1995. So, no, I agree.
Yeah, I would also have to agree. You kind of actually touched base on a couple of the things. I will say this, and this is a little bit in defense of Disney. I do think that good planning takes a good long time. Some planning has to be expedited. I do think that there are areas and former attractions that could be filled with really cool things. I think the transportation part is... I think it's challenging. It's so hard to be able to deal with transportation as a whole, just since you are basically a city among yourself. But you know what? I think they're doing what they need to do. I think in a few years this will be nothing but a bad dream when it comes to transportation. Let's see. Melissa says, just my opinion. Every single attraction with exterior waiting needs to have at least quadruple the number of fans blowing, if not more. There should be a fan every 3 feet instead of 25 or 30 feet. And that there also needs to be multiple misting cooldown stations in each park, at least there in Florida.
I will agree and disagree and also change. I disagree. I don't think those misting places. I think they're just a waste. I don't know. I don't like going through them. I feel like they're filled with bacteria. I don't know. I get kind of grossed out by that. I would 110% agree on the fan situation. I'm a large man. Anything over 65, I'm sweating. So the more fans, the better. The part I'm going to flip it is, how hard would it really be? I mean, I guess it would be hard now because everything's so old, but just to add some like tin roofing, just a little bit of shade.
Shade goes a long way.
Line.
Shade goes a very long way.
That's what I'm saying. Like, would it have been so hard to just throw some tin roofing over it and, so you're not just baking out in the sun? Like, have you ever walked up Tower of Terror and had one of those hour and 45-minute waits where you wrap around through the graveyard out back? You die out there. It is so hot. And then all the foliage they have around you just keeps in the heat. It's terrible.
It keeps in the heat, and it does not allow for the breezes to come through. That's the problem. That's the problem with Splash Mountain Q Line as well. It's just you're kind of enclosed by foliage.
Can we just have one giant fan over Animal Kingdom? Is that a possibility? Like a hover fan that just follows each individual guest around? It's so hot in there.
Well, that's why they have the Mister fans.
That's true too.
Yeah. Kevin goes, what about let me try it one more time because that just really screwed myself up. A discount price on value resort stays longer than 5 days.
I'm sorry, I was reading a comment. Can you repeat that?
A discount price on value resorts stays longer than 5 days. I would say take out the idea of value resort, just the value resort, and past that kind of
like the ticket pricing almost. The longer you're there, the cheaper the price gets.
Well, it's that's probably what he is referring to. And my personal opinion is, if you're going to stay there for a week, I mean, at least I know there's some different pricing during the days of the week anyway. Weekends are more expensive than weekdays. And, you stay 5 days and you got to deal with the weekend. I would probably say, maybe make pricing a little bit more consistent between weekdays and weekends. But I don't think it should be limited to just values.
No, I would agree. I would say spread it across. And if Disney was really that hard out and they didn't want to do it that way, say we're staying a Saturday, you could just maybe, I mean, this is like the dirty way to do it, but they could easily just jack the prices up on the weekends and lower the weekday prices. Just saying. I mean, you already have high volumes coming in the weekends anyway.
Next one. Christine mentions, I think Hollywood Studios should get a Pirates ride like Shanghai.
Hollywood Studios?
That's what she says.
So are you closing the one in Magic Kingdom?
Well, see, that's the thing. I said disagree to this one specifically because
I'd rather just redo the Magic Kingdom one.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is like, granted, I didn't even get a chance to look up what it looks like in Shanghai, to be honest with you.
It's cool.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I mean, so far, a lot of things in Shanghai seem to be raising that bar quite highly.
The Asian, but even Tokyo, too. Tokyo killed it back in the day.
Sure. So, to put another Pirates ride in another park, no. To redo the one at Magic Kingdom, sure. I would consider that.
I'm on board with that.
Okay. Rosa mentions, in her opinion, Epcot needs a roller coaster intense enough for adults.
What is Guardians of the Galaxy going to be?
It's going to be a coaster, but I haven't really seen anything about it yet. Oh, one person said, Melody said, it's called Drinking Around the World and then riding Soarin'. And then she goes, and Mission to Mars, if you're getting brave. I'm assuming she's referring to Mission Space.
Yeah. I would agree. I think it'd be nice to have a thrill ride. I think every park should have a thrill ride. So whether we're going to use the terminology of roller coaster, but I would like an adult thrill ride. Yes, I will say agree to that.
Okay. This one comes from one Mr. Danny D'Angelo.
That's me.
That's you. I believe Disney should erect a bronze statue of Chris and myself in honor of being a top-tier podcast. Agreed. Next question.
All in favor?
Aye. Next question. Dude, I picture us like if you like Bill and Ted in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey at the end. He's like, be excellent to each other. Okay, let's see. But in all seriousness, you did post another one. I believe there should be more focused in rides or dining on some newer amazing movies like Moana, Coco, Inside Out, and Zootopia, etc. Obviously, you agree. You obviously want that, so you would agree.
Yeah, that I might have wrote that terribly. I was half asleep when I was doing that. Basically, what I was saying was I want there to be more theming from some of the newer movies. And maybe even the popular ones, but maybe the ones that kind of fell by the wayside a little bit, but people still really enjoy. You know, obviously we saw a big kick for Frozen, but after Frozen, we've never seen another big kick for a princess where Moana really should be in it. I think they're really, and I think it's going to happen eventually one day anyway, but I don't understand why it hasn't happened yet. Why we have not seen Coco take over the Mexican pavilion inside Epcot. That's a slam dunk, Disney. The ride's already there. You know, and then, you know, more Inside Out, Zootopia things, a little more detail into these dead areas of the park where you could put, you know, movie influences inside of them. And I don't want to see, real quick, I don't want to see Disney turn into like everything has to do with a movie. I get that, but at certain times it's kind of like, can we add a little bit of something, even a meet and greet something? That's all.
No, you know what? I would have to say I have to agree. Try not to make it overwhelming to the outside that it is filled with IP, intellectual property, but at least have those types of things around for people's enjoyment. And I think it actually would carry on, you know, the interest in some of those attractions. Granted, there are, I mean, because you're right, there are some movies that quite honestly bombed, you know, and you really don't really want to have to deal with it. So I don't know.
Enrique brings up a great thing. Like, how has Wall-E never made its way into Tomorrowland?
I never understood how they never made a Wall-E animatronic, very much like Push the Garbage Can,
where
Wall-E would actually clean up garbage off the ground type of thing, because that's what he did in the movie. I don't know. That would have been someone's really cool electrical engineering senior design project, if you ask me. Our good friend Chris also mentions, not me by the way, annual pass holders should get one fast pass 60 days out every 90 days, regardless if they stay at a resort. I refuse to stay at a resort when I live 5 minutes down the road.
I could agree with that.
I think that every once in a while, I think they need to enhance pass holder, especially for locals. Maybe it's a Florida resident pass holder or something to that extent. I do believe that they should, you know, have a couple little spiffs just for pass holders that are there local, so that, you know, if they are there, that they can actually, you know, enjoy a 60-day planning edge type of thing for certain things. Especially if they're going to do a staycation of sorts like that, and they want to spend a week at the parks, but they don't need a hotel because they're 3 minutes away. You know, their car hasn't even reached operating temperature by the time they get to a park type of thing. I totally agree. One, Mr. Danny D'Angelo, you were actually very, very busy on these types of things. It says, I believe there should be a fifth gate to bring back some amazing rides like Backlot Tour, Great Movie Ride, Snow White Scary Adventure, etc. And I know that we've talked about this on the show before about, you know, hey, a reimagined classic ride or retired ride type of park, or even a land in a park. I still think that would be a fun idea.
Nostalgia. That's what you call it.
Nostalgia. There's Tomorrowland, and then there's Nostalgia Land, Yesterday Land, like in the Meet the Robinsons. I saw that our friend Jimmy mentioned Meet the Robinsons not too long ago. Seriously underrated movie. Love that movie. Absolutely fabulous.
And this is what I'm getting at with that is, and this is what me and Chris, we talked about this the other day with Indiana Jones. Great Spectacular.
Right.
I walk past it all the time. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to sit in this. I don't want to do this. And then all of a sudden, it's going to go away, and we're going to be like, oh. Like, the Backlot Tour, I always did. Always did the Backlot Tour because I loved it.
I did it
Great
a few
movie
times.
ride, always loved it because it was always air conditioning. And I remember most of those movies, and even the movies that, like Casablanca, that were way out of my time frame, I grew up watching them with my parents. You know, the younger generation didn't appreciate that, whatever the case is. The one thing, what was the spectacular? Lights, camera, action?
Lights, motors, action.
Lights. Once again, used to love it as a kid, got older and was like, I don't, just keep on moving. I don't need to do this. And then it went away and I was like, oh, I wish I could see it again.
Because there are some things that I like to see, but they weren't necessarily every trip type of,
Yes.
They weren't every trip type of thing. That's just the way I see it. It would be kind of neat to do something like that. All right. Gosh, you really were busy, weren't you? I like those. It's a good question. Or a good comment here. I believe there should be more heavily themed dining, not just characters, like a Tower of Terror restaurant or a Haunted Mansion restaurant, or I don't know, maybe a really good pizza planet. Gosh, you didn't even know we were going to be talking about that when you wrote this too. That's just too funny, man. I'm going to say this. I agree, because I've already talked about, you and I've actually talked about the idea of having some kind of dining experience in one of the upper floors of like Tower of Terror, and having food that is inspired by the early 30s and the razzle dazzle of old Hollywood. I personally would spend a crap load of cash to have that kind of dining experience. Bonus points if you end up dressing up in the era as well, which I would just like so do.
Like 10% off your meal.
Nah, I wouldn't even say that. I would just,
I don't know.
I would love that. I think that would be cool. But I also think, Tower of Terror, Haunted Mansion. I know you've been talking about a Haunted Mansion restaurant for a long time.
It's been killing me, man. I'm going to open one. Hopefully I win the lottery tonight.
That's funny. Our friend Kevin also says, when putting in a new land, have at least 3 rides and at least 1 sit-down restaurant. Now, I'm assuming that when he means by sit-down restaurant, to me that says table service restaurant.
I'm going to disagree. Only because, is it really that big of a difference to get 1 more ride than we have, instead of getting the standard 2 that we're getting now? And hear me out for real quick. Because if Disney had to move it to 3, you know what they're going to do? They're going to give you another alien swirler, saucer, whatever they call it. They're going to give you another teacup. They're going to give you something small and cheap to just get in there and get you the 3rd ride. I'd rather you give me the one major attraction like Slinky Dog, like Flight of Passage. Give me that mediocre to low-end 2nd ride. And then, you know what? Let it go by a couple years. Let's see how the park does, and then bring in that 3rd ride. So I'm going to disagree. But I like the idea of the restaurant, though. Always for good, especially Magic Kingdom.
Were you thinking about actual table service or another counter service, or it doesn't matter restaurant?
I would obviously always lean towards a sit-down dinner with maybe even a sit-down lunch. It doesn't have to be super fancy. I'm not talking California Grill. It could be like 50s Prime Time or something. But I'm always a big proponent of sit-down, but obviously you can't have all sit-down because then you would just eat apart your day. So what about if we just rotate, like 1 on, 1 off type of thing?
And that's a really good idea. I originally said disagree in his post only because I interpreted his opinion differently. I interpreted it as, a table service type of dining experience, which I personally believe that you could have too many, table service out there, and then you have to get ADRs for everything, and sometimes you need a little bit of spontaneity. But I would agree that if you would modify that thought process to, do it a little bit differently for each type of land, or at least kind of balance it out so you have more table service, more counter service, I think you'd be doing yourself a good service, pun intended.
Yeah. Pun intended.
Yeah. Let's see. Now, this is actually a really interesting one. Sherry mentions, I think instead of paying for parking per day, there should be a way to prepay before you go, and then offer an option for a deal if you buy a parking pass for so many days or more. As someone from England, with such an expensive holiday, it would be so much easier if we already paid off the amount for parking at the parks before we go. That's actually quite an interesting comment, and may I say, a really interesting way of looking at it. Especially from someone who they definitely does Disney differently, being from the UK. I know a long time ago when I first started going to Disney, I loved the dining plan because I could prepay for things and have less to worry about, less variance in my meals. That was also when the dining plan was also very, 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 very valued. It had a good value to it. My only concern about prepaying anything these days is simply the idea that what if you don't use it? What if it ends up not being a good value? What if you don't use it to its fullest extent? You're out money. That'd be my only concern. But I like the idea.
I like the idea, and I would go a little bit different. Have it as an option. Don't make it the mandatory.
I could see that. I totally agree. Okay, so our friend Tressan also mentions in our opinion, and now you're wondering, our opinion? Hear this out. Walt Disney World needs to beef up their service dog relief area. A 2x3 foot space for a 90-pound service guide dog is a bit tricky. And taking into consideration that Tressan has a couple of the most beautiful service animals out there, and they're just so lovey-dovey. I love those puppies so much. And they're bigger. And so I could understand where, a 2x3 foot area, and I'm sure she's not exaggerating, is just, I think they need to expand that a little bit myself. I would definitely agree with that one, Tressan.
So before meeting Tressan, I've never had to experience something like this. And, we all wish that we hope we never have to experience, having to have a service dog. She's not exaggerating when I tell you there's very little areas for them to go. And when I kid you not, it'll be about this thick. And just out of my camera rank's length. And that's where not only her dog, but everybody else's dog has to use, and it never goes well. They're usually tucked away. And I also want to add one more thing for Tressan here. Do not put them next to smoking sections. For God's sakes, Disney, do something right. Listen, this is coming from a smoker. I love being able to have a smoke and see the puppies walk by. Now, granted, when I was ill-informed, I would always want to pet the puppies. Now I understand the process of how to go around it, but you don't need to bring the dogs around that. You really don't. No, let's make it bigger. I'm not saying maybe put it off a little bit where a lot of people can't see. Let the dog have a little bit of privacy. Jeez, just because it's an animal doesn't mean like it doesn't need a little privacy. Let's do the dogs a favor and the humans a favor, and let's help them out.
I'll just go ahead and say this one thing. After meeting Tressan and her dogs, the interesting part to it is that I've been much more, I'll say, alert to the idea of these particular areas, and like you said, you and I think, at least in the podcasting world, we've been a big proponent to making sure that those who need a service animal have the ability to take care of those service animals appropriately. Let the animals experience some magic as well. Okay, with that said, not really sure what this is. It's like one word: strollers.
Bam!
Strollers. Now, okay, so I'm going to interpret this. This is a Mr. Chris interpretation. I'm going to say disagree, because I'm assuming this person really honestly don't like the idea of strollers, probably had a bad stroller experience, and I totally get it. We've all been run over by strollers before. We've all had the backs of our legs or our feet clipped by, somebody in a stroller that, had cranium and rectum syndrome and didn't necessarily, know that you were stopping or slowing, or they just kind of weren't paying attention. I totally get it. But as a parent that, whose son had 3 trips before he was 2, obviously I had strollers. I had strollers for, all the way up for the first several years of his life. And we made sure that, we were polite about it. We didn't get in anybody's way. We made sure that, if for some reason we had an incident, we would be the first people to apologize. But, unfortunately, Danny, I think there are some people that have given stroller operators just a bad name, and you have a comment like this come up, and I don't blame Jamie for saying that.
I'm going to agree just to play devil's advocate. I have no idea what the actual question is. I don't think any of us do. So, Yeah.
Next one. Now, this one's a really interesting one, and I do have something to say about this. And I didn't say it because I was playing with the rules here. Jason mentions, I believe that Disney should limit the number of guests getting on with a scooter to immediate family. I'm okay. Basically, limiting the number of people going on with a scooter rider to immediate family. I went and waited a long time for a bus, and when you have like 13 people to get on with a scooter guest, it's insane. And there are a lot of people that said agree. And here's the thing.
So it's like a doctor's office, like
no, because
bring two people with you, type of thing.
Here's the thing: Disney's rules are very clearly stated, or Disney's guidelines. I shouldn't say rules; they're very clearly stated as a part of like the signage for Disney buses. It basically says that if you have somebody that's in a wheelchair or in a scooter, basically, if you have 6 people with you. Or I don't know if it's a total of 6 people or 6 people in addition to the scooter rider or wheelchair rider. Those 6 people should go with you. Anybody else should, basically stand in line and wait for another bus if necessary and meet up at your final destination. But, and I'm going a little bit longer here only because I want to read what Jeff had to say in the comments. And by the way, everybody agreed. So Disney does have rules generally limiting this, and a lot of times it's at the discretion of the bus driver. But listen to what Jeff has to say. I think this makes a very good point. Jeff goes, I'm going to break the rules here a little bit and explain my disagree. Having visited the parks on a number of occasions with people that have disabilities and require a wheelchair or a scooter, one of the biggest challenges they face is a feeling of being excluded when other members of their party go off to do things that even the disabled cannot do. Even simply being included in conversation can be difficult when someone is less mobile and seated. I'm all for finding alternatives that make the process of inclusion less disruptive, but I really don't think setting some arbitrary number of friends and family that can accompany a disabled guest is the way to go. This post was also specifically about the buses, and it seems extremely unreasonable to separate groups of extended family / friends there. And I think, it makes a point. I think Jeff makes a really good point, especially if you're traveling in a large party, multiple generations, with possibly multiple forms of mobility devices. He makes a good point, even though Disney's got those guidelines in place already.
He makes a good point, and I agree with him. But I also will question the fact of, say you've got a party of 13. No one's saying that the person in the scooter or the wheelchair is being put on the bus alone. So it's not like you have them going on the bus and then the 12 other people are all on the bus laughing and giggling on another bus behind them or ahead of them. There is, if you say, okay, 4 people, you could still have a good time with 4 people. I get where they're coming from, and I agree. That's a real tough one. That's why I stayed away from it, because it sounds trivial, but I know the feeling of being excluded. And I know having to deal with when my father was alive, some of the mobility issues with him and how, it could weigh a heavy burden on them and the family. But on the same time, on the flip side of the coin, I've been the person about to get on. You waited half hour, 40 minutes for that bus, because we know Disney transportation sometimes could be, sketchy. You're finally about to get on, and all of a sudden, like 2 minutes before that bus shows up, a family of like 20 walk up with one person in a wheelchair, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to make this bus now. I get it. It's really, it's a tough. I think you're darned if you do, and you're darned if you don't.
I will say this. When my mom came with us the couple times that she did, we made a conscious decision. I'm not expecting other people to do this as well. We made a conscious decision that it would be my mom plus either my wife or myself that would go with her. Everybody else would stand, and the rest of our party would stand in line, and we would just meet up at the other end. That was what worked for us. At the same time, I totally understand where Jeff is coming from. And I think in some cases, depending on the situation, it does make more sense for them to stay together, especially if you are tending to, as I said, multiple generations, larger groups. I mean, if the larger group is already hard enough to deal with,
especially if you start adding kids into that.
Yeah.
Strollers. It's a nightmare.
The thing of it is that, here's the thing. I think bus drivers have the ability to make judgment calls. And I hope those bus drivers make the appropriate judgment calls.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say. I think we all understand that we all want everybody to be happy. I don't think anybody's saying anything otherwise. So let's go ahead and move on. We're running a little bit out of time, but we've got just a few other great questions. Agree or disagree? Larissa mentions, hey, Disney needs to reimagine boat rights at Port Orleans. I'm taking Tiara's Kitchen from Princess of the Frog. Meet Tiana, Prince Naveen, Dr. Facilier, and maybe the Gator. His name is escaping me right now. Simple prefix menu style with all Cajun options.
I would agree. I think the menu's lacking. The theming's lacking. Once again, please don't get me started. We're running out of time about Disney food and theming. I like it as long as it's not for like every meal. Do it for dinner, not necessarily for lunch. I would do it for all meals. Just also have some basic side of the menu for the non-flavorful palate.
Non-Cajun people.
Yeah.
I like boat rights too. One of my favorite places. Jared goes, Walt Disneyland in Tokyo has better employees than Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. I didn't answer, but I'll just say this. People don't realize that Tokyo, Disneyland, and a lot of the Asian Disneylands themselves, they're not run the same way and they're also, the people there are a lot different because there is a lot different of a culture.
It's a different culture, and Disney doesn't own 100% of the priorities there.
Yeah, so it's not exactly a one-for-one comparison. They probably are better. I've heard a lot about it, but it's also not a one-for-one comparison.
And do they deal with the volumes of people?
Oh, no. Not by a further extent. Christine mentions, I think Disney should let us use our refillable mugs in the parks. Yes, agree.
Yeah, I don't think we just did a show about a week and a half ago on that.
Yeah. Jennifer goes, I believe Disney should quit constantly raising prices and quit giving Igers such huge bonuses. The thing is, prices are going to go up. That is going to be...
obviously, we all agree with that. We don't want prices to go up.
Yeah, we don't...
Iger getting a bonus really has nothing to do with ticket sales.
No,
it does, but it doesn't. Whether they raise the tickets or not, he was getting that bonus. So
yeah, there's a lot more to business than say ticket prices and merch prices and stuff like that. There's a lot more to it than that. Hey, I'll have to say this: I wish I was a CEO.
Yeah. I'll take a third of his pay.
Hey, you and I talked about that whole CEO show not too long ago, and the whole idea is that, you know what? I said one of the first things I would do is just put a freeze on ticket prices and stuff like that. Yep. But I just think we just have to plan for things to get more expensive, period. I don't want to say I agree. I don't want to say I disagree. I just think that I wish that prices would stabilize for at least 1 year. Let's see. Eric mentions, I believe Disney should never have bought Marvel and Star Wars. Just lazy storytelling.
Disagree.
I think it was the best move they could have made.
They're still pumping out original stories all the time. They just padded. That's like saying Disney never should have bought ESPN or Fox. Like, they're just padding their resume. And yeah, could you call it laziness? Sure, but doesn't laziness have to be that they're not producing anything anymore? They just came out with Coco.
Taking into consideration that they completely made their money back and then some, like after the first Star Wars movie came out, that was a fantastic business decision for them. I would much rather have seen Disney have it than say, that other company.
Yeah. They really stole Harry Potter from us.
Yeah. I think Disney should open, this is from Alicia, I think Disney should open the Disney Villains Park that was originally planned.
Oh God. Yeah. 100% agree.
I've said it that I wouldn't mind it, but it would have to be very well executed.
And yeah, the way Disney goes right now, I wouldn't do it. Whoever created Pizza Planet, don't let them be any part of designing that.
There you go. Marissa says, Magic Kingdom needs better dining options, especially better table service dining.
Oh my God, 197 billion% agree with that.
Yeah, we talked about that not too long ago, and quite honestly, I still agree it needs better dining options, better table service options. Although I think Magic Kingdom is probably the place where I would want to spend the least amount of time sitting at a table to eat. I think that's.
I disagree. I think during the heat of the day, wouldn't it be bad? Or waiting for that, good spot, waiting for the fireworks or something, having a nice meal. Or if you could somehow convert the top of the train station into a dope 360 glass spinning restaurant that can watch the fireworks. I know I'm asking.
That would be kind of dope. Christine mentions, I think they should make those bathroom deodorizers in a better, less stinky scent. I could smell the one in Tomorrowland while I was riding the People Mover.
Disagree. And the only reason I'll disagree is because I would way rather smell the Pledge, Lysol smelling, lemon bacterial killing, whatever smell they have coming out compared to the other smell you might smell. And trust me, go to a Six Flags next time. Wait till the middle of the summer and tell me which smell you'd rather smell.
I won't disagree with that comment, Danny. So a certain Kathy, that we all know and love, says, I think reusable mugs should be resort specific again. And bigger, she says.
Oh, do you mean the designs?
Mm-hmm. And I agree.
Oh,
not because
I used to love that.
And not just because I love my wife, but I do agree. I thought they were so cool to have the different designs. And of course, you knew that a question or a comment like this would come out sooner or later. She says the monorail system should expand to reach all 4 parks.
Yeah, 110% agree. Steve brought up a good point. I think Slinky Dog is a runaway train with a paint job. It's bold move, Cotton. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Bold move, Cotton. I don't tell Kathy this, but I kind of disagree with her.
Really? You don't want the designs back?
No,
I'm so bored of the design they have.
No, about the monorail. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I think in essence the monorail is not. I think the price per passenger mile for a monorail is actually relatively high, and I don't think that you can't necessarily have a lot of burst, traveling on it. In other words, you ever see the line at the monorail station at Epcot after Illuminations? It's gargantuan. And you have to wait. And I think that it's not as efficient as people would like to it, even though I love the monorail and I know, Kathy loves the monorail. I just don't know if it's the most efficient way of doing it. Just like I don't think the gondola system is going to be a super efficient way of moving people from park to resort. And she also says, and we're almost at the last one. She goes, there should be fewer light poles blocking the reserved seating fast pass area for Happily Ever After.
Yes. Oh, yes. And can we cut back some of those oversized trees, please? That too would be nice.
And I completely agree with her because I think that was actually one of the biggest gripes that we had about the dessert party that we tried.
Yeah, you paid extra for seating, but we're blocked.
You still had an occluded view of sorts. I totally agree. Kevin, and this is the last one, by the way, says, allow on-property guests to get one fast pass at every park for one day out of their trip. I'm assuming that he's referring to, at least instead of being limited to your first 3 fast passes at one park for the day, that you could at least get one fast pass at any park throughout the day while you're there.
I actually like that. It's a good idea, especially if you're a big park hopper person.
I think, it's interesting.
If you go to a park that's tiered, you got to follow their tier. So, meaning if you take a top tier inside Hollywood Studios, you're not getting a top tier anywhere else. And I think it's a very slippery slope because then you start really having all the parks having tiers, which I honestly think we're not too far away from.
And to be honest with you, I agree. We may not be too far off from that. I don't want that. I think the tiering system makes it very difficult to plan things now as it is. Just saying. But I think it's not a bad idea to try to have a little bit more flexibility within the FastPass system. I think the only way to do it, though, is you're going to have to reimagine it, almost start from scratch. And I think that is going to be really hard to do because people are just now starting to really get used to the new system. Even though it's been... Well,
oh, I'm sorry. You can finish what you're saying.
No, I'm done.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
Take us away.
I am going to take us away. heard the show and we hope you want more. Well, feel free to join us over at our social media platforms. Instagram and our Facebook page can be found at Behind the Ears Podcast. Our webpage is behindtheearspodcast.net and our email is behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @BehindTheEarsPC. And come and join the conversation about all things Disney over at the WDW community page. Don't forget to rate and review the show over at iTunes or Apple Podcasts, as it really helps us get the word out about the show. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or the Podbean app. Also, you can listen to us on Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and via Alexa and Google Home.
Thank you for tuning in of Behind the... I'll start that again. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. I am Uncle Danny. That was Mr. Chris. Thank you all for participating in a very lively show tonight here live on Facebook. And if you are listening to us via your headphones, via your car radio, via whatever, wherever my voice is coming out of, whatever type of speaker right now, what are you doing? Come join us live every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:45 p.m. Eastern on Behind the Ears Podcast Facebook page. Trisha would kill me if I didn't mention it. Please join the WDW community Facebook page. Hey, don't forget, head over to Behind the Ears Podcast. Click that link. Give us a vote. We are up for another nominee to bring home another beautiful piece of hardware to add to our collection. With that being said, everybody, please tuck your kids in tight, wear your seatbelts, and I will see you all on Thursday.
And I'm Mr. Chris. Hey, thanks for joining us. It is really cool. Do us a big favor, like I said in the little exiting schema thing there. If you can please go and subscribe to us in iTunes, even if you don't normally listen to us in iTunes or Apple Podcasts, it really does help us get up the ladder. And we really appreciate it if you can go ahead and do that, because here, as we record on Tuesday and Thursday nights, is merely a means to an end. Because this is our recording session, and it's for the podcast, which shows up on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and TuneIn Radio and all those other good things. And if you can do that for us, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Love you guys, and we hope that you have a magical day. Take care.